right, so we can go ahead and start the meeting. Are you admitting people, or is
Colby is?
Colby is, okay.
I am just now. I can. Oh, I don't want people. Yeah, no, I do not want people to just see me. Let us switch that to the owl.
Turned you off.
It did. It gave me a failure start. Owl. Let's try this again.
There you go. All right, I'm going to call this meeting to order at 5:32. Can I get a motion to approve and accept the agenda, please?
I'll move.
So moved.
Okay, it sounds like Debbie's moving and Greg is seconding.
Yep.
Okay, all those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
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 Perfect. And since that's all four of us, we're going to go with it. All right, moving on. Communications with parents, citizens, and staff. I don't have any reach outs for RNESU. Is there anyone here who would like to speak to the board? Sure, Hannah, go ahead.
I'm just here because you guys are considering adopting a policy for library materials. And I wanted to make sure everybody knew the details of Act 150 because the district isn't currently in compliance with it. And I made copies for everyone. I didn't realize that people would be remote, but I'm going to give you Laura, the one that has the full text of the law.
Great, thank you.
And then I'm going to give you, Debbie, just the section that you have. So there's a one-pager that's an overview of the contents of it, and then there's an actual text of the law that was passed. And basically, the text of the policy that you're considering is the School Boards Association's model policy that includes the text that is like the law says that you have to include.
Okay.
And I was reading through the minutes because I've been sort of following and I haven't been going to the meetings. I just sort of assumed things were moving along.
Sure.
And so when I read the minutes, I saw that there were some objections to the text of it, and I just wanted to be able to answer any questions that people had. But the people aren't here.
Well, Greg is here. Okay, he was one of your people. I guess one of the biggest questions was that they just felt like it was stifling you, and I wanted to make sure that it wasn't, that you're able to still read all of the books you want.
So Vermont, actually, having passed Act 150, has the strongest laws in the country against book banning. Right?
Okay.
And that is the goal that the legislature had, and it is actually a wonderful thing for school libraries. It's keeping us safer. I don't know if anybody has had a chance to see the documentary, The Librarians, about book banning, but if you do, you definitely should. It's a really terrible thing that lots of librarians are going through, and so we're super well protected by the state of Vermont, and it's really important that the school board adopt this policy.
Okay, okay. Thank you for that, because we will be talking about that later in the meeting.
Absolutely.
All right. Is there anyone else who would like to speak to the board? Okay, then we are going to move on. Consent agenda. Can I get someone to make a motion?
So moved.
Thank you, Debbie. Is there a second?
Second.
Okay. All right, perfect. All right. All those in favor of the consent agenda signify by saying aye.
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 All those opposed? Great. Consent agenda passes. Moving on to board professional development. We're just, this is all about available trainings and conferences that have happened. The first one was on October 22nd, the Rutland Act 73 Public Forum. Debbie was there, I went, Barbara, you were there as well, and Greg, you were there. Oh, we were all there, look at us. Okay. Anyway, do any of you want to report out on what happened at that forum? We know that Act 73 is kind of dead at the moment, but it was eye-opening that night, I think, for some of us. I didn't know if any of you wanted to talk about your time there. Guess not. Okay.
No?
No comment.
All right. No. Fair enough. The VSBA annual meeting was also on October 23rd, the next night. That's where we adopted our resolutions, met with our county, was it county?
Regional reps.
Regional reps, thank you. I went to that. It was, and Debbie was there also because she works for the VSBA. And I don't think anything
All the
crazy
resolution,
not all the resolutions passed.
some
did not.
pass. I was about to say all the resolutions passed according to what Barstow wanted, so.
Oh, right, yes,
Yeah.
that is true.
Yeah.
Okay. The next one was the VSBA VSA annual conference. That was October 29th and 30th. Debbie went to that 'cause she was working it. I went, and Renee went as well.
And Greg was there.
And Greg was there?
On
Really?
the 30th, yeah.
Oh,
Yep, on the
I
4th.
didn't see him. Okay.
He snuck in.
Snuck in, didn't even say hi.
It
How
doesn't
rude.
mean I didn't attend.
I saw him, I'm a
All
witness.
right. Anything that you wanted, anything anybody wants to say about that? It was a great, you had a great speaker.
The keynote,
Yeah, the keynote speaker was wonderful.
yeah. It was a good conference.
Okay. We also had a Policy Governance 101 workshop on November 2nd. Greg was there, Debbie was there, I was there. I don't think Barbara went. But we did, I think it was good for anybody who was new to policy governance, and also a good refresher course for some of us who have been doing it for a while.
And it was a good introduction for some of the school board members from other districts
Oh, that's right, we had a couple
Remember?
new ones, yes. Yep, we had a
who
couple
were
new.
considering adopting policy governance.
Yep.
So that was interesting to have them.
All right, and then now is the time if there's any specific RNESU board training needs that you guys think we need to do, you can think about it, let me know. We tend to let the training happen at both the individual boards.
Ooh, I have
meet
something.
Yeah.
Well, it's not for RNESU specifically, but there is a really good webinar coming up at the VSBA on December 9th. Hey, Brenda.
It's Debbie's fault.
It's on the December 1st letter and how to read it and how to use the information contained in it
Okay.
when developing our budgets. So it's actually relevant to the two districts as well as the RNESU board.
Okay.
So December 1st,
But it's just a webinar,
just a webinar, but
and it's a free, I'm assuming.
oh yeah, it's free. Well, it's free to any member, and we're all members.
Right, we're all members.
Yeah,
Okay.
VASBO will be there, and somebody from the tax commission will be a panelist. So it will be
Great.
really helpful as we go through budget season.
Okay.
One other recommendation that I would like to make is part of the special education advisory panel at the state, and then also the special education department within the AOE, as they're writing their strategic plan, they are recommending that boards get trained on special education as well.
Okay.
So that way they have a better idea of when they're making decisions, whether it's funding or personnel allocations or just in general. So because there are a great number of laws and compliance that are part of special education, but then there's also the instruction aspect that sometimes gets forgotten. And so I want to make sure that we'd be ahead of the game, but doesn't necessarily mean that it has to happen right away, but for it to be on our radar.
Okay. Do you think it would be a good idea I think it would be a good idea for all board members to do it. So if our NESU had one, if we did it collectively for both districts, that would be a really, instead of just doing it for one or the other, or just doing it for this small board, I think
Right.
it would make sense.
So
We have it
there's
for
no
everybody.
urgency to that, but
There's no urgency, it's coming.
Okay.
It's just a matter of, it would be good for us to do it potentially before the end of the year, given that we have budget expectations that hopefully through March, that Brian and I can either do it together or we can involve others to help us.
The VCSEA does provide that level of training, but it's something we can do as well.
Awesome. If they can do it, that'd be awesome.
Great.
when you say before the end of the year, you mean this calendar?
Before the end of the school year.
Good.
Okay.
It'd actually be really good as we go into the summer, as we're reviewing the necessities of the continuous improvement plan, and then also the potential of writing a strategic plan as well.
So you'd rather like to do it sometime in the late spring?
Yes, late spring.
Okay. All right. If anybody else thinks of something, you can let Renee or I know. Moving forward, we have monitoring report 2.8, communication and support to the board. Can I get someone to make a motion to accept?
So moved.
No, we've had a quorum. We have 4. Greg.
Oh, Greg.
Barbara. Yeah. You're welcome. Don't freak out.
I'm a
I
little
know what
off.
I know what I'm doing.
Went to the wrong meeting. I'm 3 days in a row. I'm a little off myself.
Well, I was just at the musical, so.
Intentionally, or did
No.
you go to the wrong meeting too?
I went to the wrong, I walked into the empty library.
Great.
Was the motion seconded?
Not yet.
Not yet. Who made the motion?
I did.
All right, Debbie made the motion. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Thank you,
Greg
Greg.
second.
Seems to be a Debbie and a Greg thing tonight. Perfect. Any discussion regarding to this monitoring report? Any comments?
Just the only, like I mentioned, that was shared with me at Barstow on Monday, and then I shared it with Otter Valley last night, is that the last link on, I think it's letter G, was broken, but it has been fixed on my document, and I just need to make sure that Melinda, when she uploads it to our website, that when she uploads it with the functioning link.
It's working now. Thank
Okay.
you. Yep.
You're welcome.
All right. Any other discussion? Okay. All those in favor of accepting monitoring report 2.8, please signify by saying aye.
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 Perfect. Thank you. All right, we are now moving on to board policy monitoring report 3.3, delegation to the superintendent. It is in your packet. Obviously, we'll change the dates. Is there anything anybody saw that that we should be looking at, talking about, or changing as we go forward for this one?
How does this work, Lori? Refresh. This is a little different from how it works.
Right,
at
yeah,
Barstow.
so we do this one a little bit differently because if we're going to get into the meat of that, we usually do it at our individual boards. So this one is just RNESU, it's just about RNESU.
Okay.
So everything about this is delegation to the superintendent. So we look at what we've had from the previous year, and if there's any changes, then we make those changes. Or if there's something that comes up that somebody's concerned about wording.
Okay.
But the first column is the actual policy, second one is our reasonable interpretation, and then the third column
is the evidence.
If we have something that we want to put there.
So we all should be looking at this before the meeting.
Yep.
You don't delegate it to one board member and have them give a presentation.
Nope.
Okay, I wasn't sure about that.
Yeah, no, we don't do that.
Okay.
If you would
Well,
like to
and
do that, I'll leave it to you.
I would love to do that in the future, but since I haven't been part of the board, I can't really say anything because
Okay.
I don't know.
Oh, okay.
But moving forward, I'm sure I'll have things to contribute.
Sure you will. Sure you will. All right. Anything anybody else has?
I think it's always good to give examples of how you follow it or how we follow it.
Sure. Okay, then we're gonna move on because that is our own policy and we do not need to approve it. I'm gonna turn it over to you, Brenda. Yes, you over there in the pink. Fiscal year 27 budget, first draft.
I think I'm gonna wait for Renee to
Okay.
pull it up.
Oh, there's Barbara.
Perfect timing, Barbara. I was just gonna start speaking. I was waiting for you.
Do you need the budget?
No, Renee's gonna pull it up.
Pull it up on the screen. Thank you.
Is it the initial budget environment?
No,
Or the budget
it's-
proposal?
Yeah, it's the November 2025.
Oh.
Do you have it or do you want me to?
I
No,
got it.
you don't have it.
I don't
Is
have
that
that. Okay.
That's it.
Okay.
Barbara, how did you do that? You were just on the screen.
I'm getting really good at this.
Hermione Granger.
I'm getting really good at like moving from one thing to another while still being in this meeting or a meeting.
It's good to see you in person.
So this isn't in your slideshow because it is hot off the presses. But if you want to go to the next slide, Renee. So again, this isn't new, but just to remind you, as we're building the budget, we are constantly coming back to these decision makers or these decision points, and that is the mission, the vision, and the ends policy, our goals, paying attention to equity of opportunity for student achievement, and trying to be efficient in delivery. The 5 focus areas are this year's focus. Attention areas, attendance, academic performance and growth, behavior, social emotional learning growth, graduation rates, college and career and life readiness. So you are in the process, maybe you just did it, of updating your global ends, which was not changing it substantially, but reorganizing and bringing in curriculum as a responsibility. The documents that you have, and this presentation is based on the pre-change. And I think we'll take this through the budget cycle and then next year change it because you kind of updated your numbering in the middle. So today we are going to talk about the ones with an asterisk because those are the ones that relate to a budget that will end up being voted on at town meeting day. So we'll come back to each of them in sections. 1.14 to 1.16 is collectively titled on the reports that you received, central office services. So we might as well start with the end result because I think people prefer to know that. The current budget is 13 million, the proposed 13.7 million. The proposed is 14.3, which is an increase of 660,000 or 4.81. This was really a challenging budget. It was 9.31 before a ghost chased me out of the office on Saturday night. And we had all-day meetings or a long meeting on Monday to get down to 4.81. So we'll share with you from the Global Zen perspective where and how that $660,000 comes from.
I'm sorry, you're going to have to slow down for me. Go back one more slide. Thank you, Sarah. 429. Good.
Thank you, Amber. I want to remind you that assessment information is what flows into the Barstow and Otter Valley budget, not this information. But assessment information is not known yet. As you recall, Renee has said a couple of times his frustration with the piecemeal process of us getting budget information. So this is a total expenditures. What will be assessed out is the total expenditures minus the revenues that offset these costs. We will not know that. Maybe early December, I am hopeful. The Agency of Education for the first time in a long time is hoping to try to meet their statutory deadline of notifying us of long-term weighted average ADM or pupil count by December 5th. If they do that, then hallelujah. We have gotten it as late as May 20th. So we do have a policy that talks about that. We refer to it as AOE's weighted pupil count because it may change at any time. It used to be equalized pupil, then it became long-term weighted average daily membership, and it may at some point become foundation formula. So the first global end, that's GE, not the company, global ends. Special education 1.1 by function. So the overall special education budget, remember this is a component of the total central office budget or the total Rutland Northeast assessment, is up 6.2%. It's a total budget, doesn't net out the revenues, which will come later. Just to remind you again that members will pay based on the net number. And the funds that are included in this budget, because you did receive a report by funds, is Triple E, which is now called Early Childhood Special Education, and someday will be renamed in my documents ECSE, but have not yet been. It's not easy because I have to rename every word, every line item. But the K-12 service, so that is exactly what it is, Early Childhood Special Education, or Triple E. That's the early ones, the under 5. The K-12 services is just that, K through 12, but it's really K through the age of 21. And then it does include 2 federal grants, IDEA-B and IDEA-B Triple E. And IDEA stands for the Individuals with Disability Education Act, Part B. So these are our, over on the left are our functions. Direct instruction, we have by our policy, we will cover the cost centrally of extraordinary 504 students. Extraordinary is defined by the state, and it's based on how much money a student cost. And for next year, it is $68,000 and change. We have no 504 students who meet that level, so there is no costs associated in the budget for those extraordinary students. The special education budget, we have reduced 1 special educator based on caseloads. We have reclassified 4 full-time behavior interventionists to Medicaid funding. Medicaid funding, we'll talk more about it later on, but I want to say it more than once. Medicaid funding is used for prevention and intervention. And by making this classification, these are the 4 behavior interventionists that work in what we call our success suites. And they might work with IEP students, but they might work with a kiddo who is just having a bad day and having needs some immediate behavior intervention and may never need it again. So Medicaid funding is a great location for these positions. They are a little bit more specialized than our behavior intervention paraeducators, which we have also in the budget. These are specific program-related positions. We have created a therapeutic program at the Bruce Academy. This will save any out-of-district placements, and the reality is we can't find out-of-district placements. So not only does it save an out-of-district placement cost, but it saves in transporting students to an out-of-district setting, and it keeps them home. So it keeps them in our district, which we believe is where they belong. We do have 1 student who is out of district. That means that their needs and services are such that we cannot fit them and support them in our school. That number can change. That is usually a number that is under 10, but it can change from, it could change tomorrow. And we have adjusted our occupational therapy and physical therapy contracts down to what we have actually been spending over the last couple of years. Again, it's a little bit subjective. It can change based on students' needs, but when you take an average, you kind of guess. It gives you a better guess. Student support services, we have reduced 1 FTE and an SLP aide. We are fully staffed in SLPs. We added the SLP aide when we were not fully staffed in SLPs. School office is no change. School office for special education means Brian here at the central office, his executive assistant, as well as 2 coordinators, 1 at Neshabie and 1 at the high school. Facilities, this is just cost of living increases only, and the only cost that is associated in special education for facilities is the custodial salaries and benefits for our off-site programs. So we do not pay, we, special education, this budget does not pay for heat, electric, insurance. The building that is the district that it's owned by, which happens to be Otter Valley, pays for that. But we, this budget, pays for the custodial, the daily cleaning supplies, equipment, cleaning equipment. And then transportation, this is only transportation for special education students, so this is specialized transportation. There was no significant changes to the programs and services, so the adjustments are cost of living increases according to the contract. So here's that narrative in a grid form or in dollar amounts. As you can see, we had anticipated a out-of-district placement for a 504 student in this budget, and we're not expecting it next year. It actually didn't happen this year either. The student moved. And you can see as you look way over to the right, the difference between the 26 and 27 budget, that the most significant increase is in special education direct instruction. And this is taking that same budget and looking at it differently, looking at what we purchase versus what the department that it is purchased for from. So salaries and benefits is our biggest investment. Again, the budget went up 5.62, but salaries and benefits went up 6.62% of that. So the reason why the budget is up 5.62% or 1% less than salaries and benefits is because of the reduction in the purchase services, the travel, tuition, and other. Travel, tuition, and other is an AOE title. It's a confusing title. Travel is mileage, not transportation. So that's when Brian drives from site to site. It's mileage reimbursement, not transporting students. That would be under transportation. Tuition is out of district placement costs, and we have less. Remember, we're down to 1. And other is non-health or benefit related insurances. So this is property and liability, auto, which isn't in this budget because we don't own it in this budget. So the next global ends is transportation, which is 1.12. This budget's overall increase is 4.69%. It is level services. It does include continuing on our fleet maintenance or fleet replacement schedule. It does bring on 3 new bus leases, and based on the old schedule, only 1 bus lease is coming off. So looking at it from an object, what we buy in transportation, because transportation is already a function by itself, our salaries are increasing based on the negotiated contract and our current staff. We have reduced 1 driver because after realizing we were not going to be able to replace that, we reconfigured runs. And so some people's runs were increased a little bit. We have also updated the run time to the actual cost of 26 for the change in the afternoon runs. So just a reminder, last year we put a placeholder in the budget because we knew we were going to flip the afternoon runs such that we would leave from the elementary schools first, then go to the high school, pick up the high school students, and then take the high school students home. And we had anticipated how much that would cost. Now we've updated to reflect that because we've actually put that into action this August. And then we reduced 2 part-time monitors based on current needs, and honestly, needs and availability seem to kind of, it's hard to find the difference in the line. Benefits are all based on contract. Purchase services were level, and for transportation, that's usually like the bus radio, communication, that type of thing. Repairs and maintenance, this is repairs and maintenance on the fleet, and it is based on historical cost plus a cost of living increase. Again, same travel, tuition, and other. In this case, the other is the biggest component of transportation, and that's the vehicle insurance. So we've taken the current vehicle insurance plus a cost of living adjustment. Supplies, the biggest component here, besides things like windshield wipers and fluids, is fuel. And it, just to give you an idea of how much we use approximately 37,500 gallons. We have estimated it at 3.25 cents. I'm not good at knowing what this is. If I was, probably be on Wall Street. But the most recent one we got was less than that, so I don't know. I don't dare necessarily bring it down, but we might be a tad high. But it's one of those things we're gonna pay what it costs to fill the vehicles, because you can't run without them. And then the capital expenditure, just a reminder, that does include 3 new buses. We do purchase buses under a lease, and 1 is coming off. And so this is looking at the budget in you know, taking the narrative and putting it into the grid. You can see the salaries and benefits. That reduction is the reduction of the part-time para monitors, bus monitors, and the bus driver position that was open that we couldn't fill. And then supplies is down that 29,000 because last year we budgeted $3.75 a gallon. So capital expenditures is our largest increase, as you can see, 101,000. And that's honestly, the cost of buses continue to rise. We're unsure about tariffs. You may recall when you purchased the bus this last May, one of the vendors said if tariffs go into play, it will add another $7,000. And another of the bids didn't add a clause to increase for tariffs. So we went with a company that didn't have it. But it is possible that the $135,000 number might be $7,000 to $10,000 per bus higher. Just to remind you, we actually finance our buses. We don't purchase them flat out at $135,000. And the reason we do that is by financing the buses in a capital lease arrangement, which means at the end we own it, we have some value in it, and we run our buses on average about 10 years. So if you will, we run them for 3 years for free. We are aligning our lease payment or our capital outlay with what the Agency of Education allows for us to claim for depreciation, and they reimburse us approximately 45% of that cost. So we intentionally do this because it does align our outlay with this state's reimbursement. Okay, so the central office budget, again, it has more than one global ends in it, 1.14, 1.16 to 1.16. The first one, a very important one, was omitted from your first global ends, but we love her, so we brought it back on here, and that's curriculum. In the amendment, you are bringing in curriculum. But again, jumping to the chase, the central office budget has an increase of 2.72%, and the staff FT increase is about 0.36. So when you look from each of the departments, curriculum, instruction, and assessment, new, very recent, I don't even know if it was on your consent agenda, but the admin assistant has resigned from her position, and we believe that next year we can combine some duties and rearrange things, and we are proposing a 50% position. So a reduction of 50, and it doesn't affect any employee because she has currently resigned. We are also recommending the increase of 1 full-time year-round curriculum coordinator to support the implementation of new district-wide curriculum initiatives. You may recall last year we made a significant investment in new curriculum, and next year we're planning on making a similar investment at the high school level. We made some at the high school, but not as much as we did the elementaries. And we want to point out to you that part of the CIA team does include a full-time facilitator of teaching and learning that is funded by Otter Valley to support middle school and high school. That position's not included in this budget. It's in the Otter Valley budget, but we did want to tell you that that position is integral to the operations of the CIA office. Finance department and facilities, I had to throw facilities somewhere because it's part of the budget, but we are reducing, it should probably say shifting, it does say shifting. We currently have 20% of a bookkeeper, it's Pam Reed. Pam is really the transportation and the facilities administrative assistant, and we thought she would still do a little bit of bookkeeping, but she's not. So we've shifted duties around, and we shifted her funding to match her job. So we shifted 20% out of this department and into transportation and facilities. We made some minor adjustments on costs based on historical data. Some of the costs that are in the finance department that really don't exist elsewhere are things, finance and facilities, are things like the heat, the electric, the general supplies, the coffee and the sugar that keeps me sane, those type of things. We did make a minor adjustment in part-time custodians. Over the years, we've tried to find the sweet spot of how many hours we need in this building, and that was reduced a little bit, I think 0.36 of an FTE. I think we're down to 2 hours a day instead of 1 hour a day. The superintendent, again, superintendent is a global lens and the board isn't, but you do have a little bit of cost, so I had to marry the two of you together as well because I wanted to capture the total budget. There are no programmatic changes. All of the increases are attributable to salaries and benefit cost of living. That is 100% an employee department. There's nothing else in there. And then information technology, I'll remind you that's district-wide information technology. So that is computers and software and Chromebooks and Wi-Fi connectors and connectivity costs and routers and mice and cameras and all of those fun things for the whole district. The good mice. The good mice. We had some savings there. The connectivity costs are down, and Alexis does her magic and presented a budget that continues to maintain our equipment replacement schedule, which I believe is every 4 years. So this is just looking at it from the numbers. As you can see, curriculum instruction and assessment is the biggest increase because it is increasing in position. And the biggest decrease is information and technology because of the connectivity cost or connectivity savings. Phew, so that was a lot. So pulling all three of those budgets together now, this is the total general fund proposal. So all of those global ends reports, the overall budget proposal, all three of those different budgets is up 4.81. Just a reminder again, this is not the assessment number, this is the total number. From that number, we will subtract any of the revenues that we get from the state, extraordinary, care and custody, transportation, etc. And this is looking at it from a functional point of view. And you can see from this, the second line, special education. Again, this is special education direct instruction. So this is special education teachers, paraeducators. That's what this is. This does not include speech language pathologists, school psychologists. Other essential supports are in student support and instructional staff support. But so 486,000 of the 660, or 3.5% of the 4.81 is special education. And I will tell you that special education is also predominantly a people budget, which means there are no other things to kind of even out the cost of living increases for salaries based on master agreements and increases for health insurance. There's no other place to kind of balance that. Transportation is up 104,000, the next largest piece of this budget, and that's just about 3/4 of a percentage point. And all of the others is just about 1/2 of a percentage point. Again, same 4.81% of expenditures, the budget increase, looking at it from what we buy. So salaries and benefits, those first two lines, represent 5.23% of the 4.81, which means that the rest is the reduction. So the bus, again, that's the clean one because it's always transportation. It's transportation, there's a function, and the bus lease cost is also 3/4 of a point, and then all of the others are actually a reduction to bring us down to the 4.81. Okay, so I'm gonna breathe now because I feel like I've talked a lot. We think it's important because we've heard over the last 3 years specifically that there's confusion, and unfortunately sometimes people take a broad view of central office or the assessment and think that it's all administrative. So we wanted to be really clear with the 2 categories of staff in the central office. The first and largest category is school-based staff funded centrally. And some of this is decisions that are made at the state level that tell us you need to do this. And so, for example, the biggest one is special education. And the Agency of Education and the statutes say special education will be funded at the supervisory union. That includes our special education teachers, our para-educators, our speech-language pathologist, our school psychologist. It also, we chose to fund all information technology centralized because that allowed for efficient purchasing and deployment of resources. So that was not mandated, we decided to do that. The other thing that's included in that school-based, and so all of the technicians, our friend Colby, who you get to see and regularly helps us, he is a school-based staff who is funded centrally. School bus drivers and bus monitors, again, that was required by the agency, that transportation is a responsibility of the supervisory union. And then custodians for the Bruce Academy or any off-site programs are also school-based staff funded centrally. So the central office staff or the administrative staff includes the superintendent, the central office directors, Alexis, myself, Brian, Debbie, the administrative support services, our administrative assistants, our bookkeepers, our pre-K and special education coordinators, our human resource coordinator, our communications coordinator, our data manager, and then Rich, the transportation and facility supervisor. So staff by category, and you had 3 pages in your packet. I went to the bottom line on this to provide the definitions, but then to show you where it ended and how they break down. The current year, we have 121.74 FTEs, and we are proposing 120.65. So a reduction of basically 1 FTE. There's those weird numbers. The reason why the FTEs are weird is because no bus driver is a 1. Most bus drivers are something smaller than that, as they don't work 7.5 hours a day. The school-based staff funded centrally represent 101 of them, rounding up, in 2027 versus 102.5 in 26. So it's down 1.5 positions. And central office staff, again, that second definition above, is 19.75 positions, which is up a half a position, essentially, from 19.23 last year. So a couple of pieces of general information for you. Just a reminder, 1% of the budget is $137,000. Salaries are updated. We're happy that we have all settled contracts. None of them are negotiated, so the good news is the salaries were much easier to estimate this year. Health insurance, this was good news too, but followed by some not great, followed by a couple of years of difficult or challenging. The BHI has applied for a rate increase of 7.4%. So that is significantly less than what we've been looking at. Last year was 16.4, and the year before that 12.9. The reality is those are all additive, right? So over the last 3 years, it's 16.4 plus 12.9 plus 7.4. Supplies, utilities, professional development, and professional services are always adjusted based on looking at what we know and what we estimate for the future. So for certain cost of living increases might be linked to CPI, and others are linked to other estimates. So for example, fuel was kind of CPI rounded up because I'm afraid of fuel. Bus purchases was 5% because I know it's going to exceed CPI. But usually utilities stay right around CPI because they go through the trustee of public funds or whatever, the service board to get rates. So. And then just to remind you that assessments are these expenditures net of revenues, and they're shared by our members per policy. And so there is a link to that policy, but it basically shares the global ends in different percentages based on students served. So the global ends for special education serves all pre-K through 12 students in all 8 of our towns. So it's based on a weighted pupil with pre-K through 12 students. Transportation, we only transport kindergarten and above, and we do transport Minden and Chittenden High School. So transportation is based on K through 12 student counts. And then the central office global ends, 1.14 to 1.16, is actually assessed based on Barstow's pre-K through 8 because they're not operating 9 through 12, and Otter Valley's, oh, I was supposed to fix that one. It's supposed to say pre-K through 12 student counts. So they're a little bit different for each one of those budgets that we just went over. Overall, when you put it all together, Barstow pays approximately 15% and Otter Valley pays approximately 85%. So there's things that are not included in this proposal that are managed and budgeted at the central office. So the things that are included in the proposed budgets are the things that are going to be assessed to member district. And the purpose of that is so that you have a number to put in your budget that you then go to voters for. Federal grants, there is 2 federal grants that are required to be reported in the annual report, so we put that in as well. And that's the IDEABs, the special education grants. Then there are all these other funds that are not included in the above budgets. The first one is pass-through programs and services. So these are costs that are generally shared between Barstow and Rutland Northeast or Barstow and Otter Valley. We call that positions that cross the bridge. And it's better for employees and better for us to hire them as a one person instead of a 0.25 and a 0.75 and that type of thing. When we do it piecemeal, not only does the employee sometimes not qualify for benefits or qualify for lesser benefits, they also could be losing out on retirement. It will be harder to fill. And then if either of the programs needed to make a reduction, it becomes more challenging as to how that reduction ripples through. So those type of positions we bring in and we fund through Rutland Northeast, and then we pass the cost through based on how much they actually serve the school that they share the person with. So for example, we have a world language teacher that we would never be able to find at the 0.75 for Barstow. But because the other 0.25 is paid for and supports Otter Valley High School, we were able to find somebody. So it's a big benefit to be able to compete for and maintain staff. Those costs are budgeted through the budget cycle normally, and the actual cost will show up in Barstow and Otter Valley in a separate line in Barstow and Otter Valley. Medicaid funds, we'll talk a little bit more about that, but Medicaid funds, as I said before, are restricted for prevention and intervention services. You may or may not remember that last year we were very concerned about our Medicaid funds and its sustainability, and we had a surplus in the Rutland Northeast General Fund. So we came to you with a recommendation to move $337,000 from that surplus to shore up Medicaid. And you did. Thank you. Then over the last 2 years, we've struggled with being able to, and Medicaid predominantly funded our mental health supports at the schools through Rutland, through a partnership with Rutland Mental Health. Over the last 2 years, last year including this year, we struggled with being able to find services. And we now have a surplus of Medicaid funds. So it made sense to shift those 4 behavior interventionists into Medicaid to draw down that surplus and to be able to support students better without thinking about what type of student we were supporting. We are also going to, as you will recall from the last couple of meetings and the special education audit, there was a recommendation that we could manage our 504 services and student needs better with a district-wide 504 coordinator. That's perfectly prevention and intervention services. So we are going to add a 504 coordinator in the Medicaid funds. The consolidated federal grants, you probably hear me call maybe CFP, sometimes school-wide plans or SWP, but they are Titles 1, Title 2, and Title 4. You may be hearing about these a lot at the federal government. There is across the aisle support for Title 1, which is sometimes called compensatory education. There is not across the aisle support for 1 and 4. So we do not know. They are subject to federal legislation and action. We don't know where that's going to land. We also monitor the National School Lunch and the fresh fruit and vegetables. That actually is not under the Department of Education. It's under dairy.
Agriculture.
Agriculture, thank you. Thank you. And we do not believe that those monies are threatened or at risk. Combined with that, the state of Vermont has committed to feeding all kids. So they use state funds to supplement that which the federal funds do not cover. So we expect that to continue. And then we have some private grants, and these are, an example is Vermont Community Fund, but sometimes it's a VSBIC grant, sometimes it's a Vermont School Boards Association grant, sometimes it's a Vermont Principals Association. These are smaller, very specific based grants, anywhere literally from $500 to $15,000. Those come and go, they're not regular, they're not anticipated. And then there is the state grants. Again, some of the food service is covered by state grants. And then there's the Best in Act 230 grant. Debbie would have to talk more about that, and teacher relicensing. But sometimes there are new state grants as well. So I talked a little bit about the pass-through bill backs. Again, 100% of the cost is attributed to each member. That's the difference between a pass-through or a bill back than an assessment. Assessment is based on shares, and the bill back is based on actual services. And these are the current positions that are funded and shared. The transportation one on the very bottom, that one might fluctuate because the high school operates on a semester system, and sometimes the Hannaford runs might have different students enrolled. They run 2 programs instead of all-day programs, so that type of thing can change and fluctuate. But again, transportation services are done at the central office, managed at the central office, and passed through to the high school or to Otter Valley. So that was a lot. I'm going to remind you of kind of the guidance that the 3 partners have thought about in preparing these budgets, and that is that we asked the board to provide us with some high-level guidance, and then Renee and our team worked to draft the budget and then reworked to draft it better, and then here we are telling you about it and ready to answer your questions. And then when you get to a proposed budget, obviously you become the seller of this budget. Just to remind you, none of this is new. Our biggest cost driver is personnel. And collective bargainings and personnel go hand in hand. It's unfair to say a collective bargaining is the reason why we have high increases, because we control the number of personnel. Health insurance is, recently, legislation has paused statewide health insurance bargaining through to 2030. I have no idea if they will unpause that with or without redistricting, because I have no idea what will happen with this legislative session and the fact that redistricting seems to have failed to meet its obligation, according to the governor. Inflation, special education, again, special education rising at the level of inflation is hard because it is based solely on, almost solely on staff. And when it's not based on staff, it's based on out-of-district placements, which are based on staff. Facilities, and then tuition. We shared this with you a couple of months ago. The average statewide tuition for elementary schools is $19,120, and for the high schools, there's $20,910. But this budget doesn't pay any of those. We would pay specialized out-of-district placements when a program in space is available, and the range can literally be from 65 to 150, and that's tuition. On top of that, we would have to transport the student to wherever the program may be. So we are hoping that this budget spending meets your stated priorities and goals, which as we understood them was to look closely at every line, to be judicious in every position, and to try to approximate inflation. And so number 2, do the budget include class sizes, is not really applicable for this budget because we don't have class sizes. EQS and DQS, again, not directly applicable, partly applicable through curriculum, but it does meet IEP standards. The facilities that is included in this budget is just this building. And the spending on staff and salaries is according to contracts. And we don't really have a cost per student for you to compare because we're a component of your budget, so we can't really answer 6 and 7. Clear as mud. Okay. I have to drink now.
All right, are there questions for Brenda?
Yeah, I have 2. First one is there a main driver of special education instructional costs that you can point to, the rise in those? For instance, higher salaries, more students with more complex issues.
Thank you. I will add one thing and then defer to Brian, because I think I was supposed to tell you already. But I don't know if we've ever put it in the slide. So our child count. So a child count is the number of kids on December 1st this year versus last year. So we're in the process of kind of firming that up right now. But it is up 5.6% in students. Mm-hmm. And then you can talk about
So we are, I mean, the answer to your question is yes. I mean, this is layered. We do have students presenting with more significant needs. Our child count is up to from 222 last December, and this coming December we're preparing our child count, and I believe we're at 234, and this is including some of our recent move-outs. There's other costs that we can't necessarily control. For example, transportation when we do need to transport students. Related services, contracted related services, things like OT and PT, we contract that. We can't necessarily control the costs of those services. So it's a lot of different drivers for special education, but primarily we have 7 SLPs, 4 psychs, and 24, thank you, special educators and 1 mental health coordinator, and a lot of the cost is in personnel to meet those cases and those IEP entitlements. Thank you.
And this is a bit of information because I've been doing this for a long time. our distribution of where teachers are on the matrix, there was a time when the majority of them were kind of in the top 2 categories with the most years of experience. We are now pretty evenly split throughout the whole matrix, which is a good thing. But you know, as people move over, at some point we might get to being top heavy again. We are not right now. We've got a nice distribution, but that also means that people might get more than a standard increase because they are gaining experience, gaining credits, and crossing over columns.
And we are in the VCSEA, the Vermont Special Educators Administrators Association, are talking about kind of 2 different things to address the cost of special education. And the first is educational collaboratives. So how can we work as a region, and as well as finishing the job. We say this a lot: finishing the job of MTSS, making sure all students have Tier 1 and Tier 2 interventions and instruction before moving into that Tier 3 or specialized instruction. If we can address the need before it gets to that level, that is part of cost as well.
Okay, thank you.
We haven't done revenue yet, but you reminded me, we are thinking that the therapeutic program might be a program that we hope to open up to other districts.
As part of that educational collaborative piece. Whereas if we have a specialized program and our neighbors to the south have a specialized program for a different population of students, we would work together to meet the unique needs of our students by those specializations in placement.
My other question was about master agreements. Hannah and I had the pleasure of working on the teacher's master agreement for some time, so I know about that. How many master agreements do we have, and how are they?
You only have 2.
Okay.
So you have the teachers, which covers all licensed staff except administrators. And then you have an educational support team. And so that covers, because, wow, look at us. Oh, you're doing it. Okay.
That's the ghost.
Sorry. Which covers bus drivers, bus monitors, custodians.
Okay.
And paraprofessionals.
And paraprofessionals, thank you.
Okay.
I knew there was one. The biggest class, I don't know why I missed them, sorry.
All right, thank you.
Yeah, 2 questions if I could.
Sure, go ahead, Greg.
The first one, easy one, will this slide deck be put out on the website or something for us to be able to review on our own?
Yes.
Great. And the second one is, I know you said before revenue is applied, we're going up 4.8%. Do you have any reason to believe that when revenue is applied, that 4.8 will be different, higher, or lower?
I don't dare make a guess on that. One of the biggest components, so special education comes with significant revenues. It comes with the census-based block grant that we will be getting an estimate, we will be getting the numbers, I think it's December 5th, but it might be December 10th. And that's a big number, so I can't estimate what that number would be because it's calculated based on the state census. That's our biggest revenue. We also then have extraordinary reimbursement for students that cost above $68,000. And I can calculate that now. I haven't done it yet just because I've run out of time. So I'd be able to know that number. And then the other reimbursement that we get from the state is transportation. And that number comes out also somewhere around the 15th of December. So
I'm going to sneak one more in.
Dare guess.
Okay, I'm going to sneak one more in then. One of your first slide displays said we had no 504 students.
No extraordinary 504 students. So no 504 students that cost more than $68,000 in services.
Okay,
we have a ton of 504 students.
We have about 100 504s in district.
But no extraordinary.
But no extraordinary.
So, is it a correct takeaway that we have 0 students that would fit into that 68 to 150,000 you mentioned in the lower part of the presentation?
Correct.
Greg, correct me if I'm wrong, but I think you are confused about what is extraordinary 504 and what is 504. Would you like a better explanation?
I think I got one. I'm not sure I said my question well enough.
Okay.
Was the extraordinary 504 the ones that cost 68,000 or higher?
Yes.
Isn't it correct?
That's
Yep.
correct.
And so currently we have 0 of those, correct?
Correct.
And you're planning for 0 of those going into
Next
27?
year.
Yes. And that's something I would,
That's-
yeah, we don't build in any of our budgets what might happen. So we build it based on the students that we know today. So honestly, a 504 student might have moved in today and I didn't know it yet. So we don't build in a reserve.
Yeah, you guys have answered my questions. Thank you.
Barbara?
No questions.
Debbie? All right, well, I have a bunch. Sorry. They're more before your meet. You answered a lot of them. I just have a couple. So, first, on the original budget, which shows the net, you indicated that the IDEAB flow
Yes.
through, that you have a little contingency here thing that says contingent on federal government. So can you
Yes.
explain what that means?
Yes, thank you, thank you. So she is looking at, for those of you who are wondering, the actual budget report documents and the one that is titled
Budget summary?
Budget Summary by Fund. So we talked a little bit about, and I thought about it when we talked about the CFP funding, but IDEAB is also a federal program. And that contingent, that program has broad-based support. But it still needs federal action, and we still can't really quite predict what it might be. But it is the one fund, which isn't really even, it's up there on the top. I guess that's where I should have indicated it. It is both the Republican and the Democrats believe in that program. So we are anticipating that it is safe, but I wanted to warn you that if it isn't, those costs, those needs, those entitled services would still exist. So they would shift from there into special education.
And that would be the 676,000.
Yes.
And
then the 20,000 for the littles.
Okay.
Oh, okay.
Okay. All right. That was my first question. Second question was, I'm looking at the global end stuff. I think that's easiest
Which one is
to
that?
look at. I'm just starting at the global end, but I'm
Okay.
moving forward. I was okay with special ed. I think you answered. The only thing about special ed was the transportation services. I'm assuming that your travel, tuition, and other is insurance like it is for the transportation
Yes,
budget.
it's the same for all of
And
them.
and the supplies are fuel again.
That's the biggest supply.
Yeah.
There are some other special ed supplies for the off-site programs.
But mostly fuel. And
Mostly
that-
fuel.
Okay, perfect. Let's see, transportation, you answered all of that. Look at that, yay. For board expenses or board operations, so this is under central office. I know what the salaries are, that's our salaries as the 6 of us. But I was curious what the benefits are, because I'm pretty sure I don't have benefits through you guys.
Payroll taxes.
Oh, okay.
I have to pay
Thank you.
FICA and
All right, no, that makes sense, okay. And then purchase services is our professional development?
yes,
Okay,
and legal services. So,
Alright.
so this budget only covers policy work. If there is a student issue that requires legal services or an employee issue that requires legal services, the owner of that issue, the school district of that issue, pays that cost.
okay. And then moving forward, I wondered what was an other miscellaneous for executive administration of the 12,600. I mean, it's something that we've had, I just don't know what it is, and I just wanted to be able to explain it if somebody were to look at this.
That's the central office supplies.
Oh, okay.
So that's check stock, photocopier, paper.
All right. Everybody needs coffee. Okay, and then. So under admin technology services, I'm assuming that's Alexis and her staff.
Yes.
So they're under travel, tuition, and other. There's 255, and then there's supplies of 445. So I'm assuming one of them was like all of the technology and Chromebooks and all of that.
In technology, the 250 is software.
Software. Thank you. I also need to be able to explain this at the OVU meeting, and that's why I'm asking you all these questions. I know, right? So you won't have to do that presentation. You're welcome. Let's see. Salaries, benefits, cleaning, repairs and maintenance, utilities. Oh, under maintenance of buildings, supplies must be all of the utilities.
Yes, fuel, propane is the biggest piece.
All right, and lights.
Yes.
Right? Okay. Now, what is the major repairs and maintenance that we do on this building? Because I see we have a budget of $20,500, and maybe that doesn't buy much anymore, but in my mind, that's a lot.
Yeah. That is things like painting and repairing. It is HVAC work. It is the air conditioning. And we are slated, I don't know if anyone has seen it, but out back where there is the handicap ramp to get into the basement, it's no longer accessible because there's heaves in it.
So we talked about that before. We had taken that out of the budget 2 years ago, so now we're getting ready to do that.
Yeah.
Okay, perfect. All right, I think that's all I had.
Did you notice we fixed it out front too?
Oh, yeah.
We did that this summer.
All right. Well, those were my questions. Thank you for that.
Your question generated a question for me.
Sure, go ahead.
So under purchase services for the board, I guess this would be under central office, equivalents 1.1.4-6. We're going down 29,725 because
We don't have to negotiate a contract.
got it.
So
That's legal fees.
That's
and-
legal fee to have Dina help us through
Okay.
negotiations.
So great.
Okay.
2 contracts.
2 contracts.
All right. Any other questions about the budget?
Thank you, Brenda.
Okay.
It was definitely not just Brenda.
Thank you, team.
Yes, thank you, team. We appreciate it.
So next month, we'll take what feedback you have and we will come back with the more information we will have in regards to revenues. And I am hopeful that by next meeting, we would have not only revenues, but I am hopeful because the state is really doing they have outlined an awesome way to address getting accurate long-term weighted average ADM numbers, which they have never done. So I'm really hopeful that that will be successful and we will have numbers that I feel comfortable with in regards to assessing.
So can you just run through that timeline so I can kind of see it on my mind, the calendar, what it's looking like? So
the LTW ADMs should come in, I think it's December 5th.
December 5th.
And so that's the first week in December.
Yep.
Which is going to be like tomorrow because next week is Thanksgiving. And the census-based block grant and the other revenues we'll be able to calculate shortly after that. So by our meeting, which I think is somewhere around the 15th, I think we will have good revenue numbers.
Yep.
So we will have a good net number, the assessment number. And for the first time, I'm really confident that we might have a good long-term weighted average, so I might be able to split out the assessment more accurately than guessing 1585% between the two, between Barstow and Otter Valley.
Oh, so those assessments could shift, those percentages, depending on the LTWADM
Yes.
numbers? Okay.
Absolutely. And they don't usually shift a lot,
Mhm.
but they can shift.
A couple, like you even shifted by a percentage point?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Debbie, will you be having this presented at your BUU board meeting for them
No.
to review?
I don't think so, no.
Okay.
Mm-mm. In fact, and so again, so this meeting comes after our district meetings, right?
Yeah, it
No,
does.
before yours, after hers.
Before,
I think it's, is it the third?
It's the
Is it
third
before
one.
yours or are you after us?
Our
think
third
we're all in a
Wednesday is
row.
December 17th, so yours is
Oh,
on
we
the
are in a row
15th.
again?
we're on
Yeah.
the 15th.
Okay.
So how would you be able to present a district
We're
budget?
having we have another meeting on December 2nd because we meet twice a month.
You meet twice a month.
Yep.
So will you be able to give Barstow
I hope
a
so.
budget? Yeah, you should know your assessments by then, right?
I hope so.
Okay.
I hope so.
Okay.
We'll have the letter by then.
We'll have the letter,
The December 1
1st letter.
Yeah.
I hope so, but Debbie, that will be earlier than usual. Because usually, usually I have to wait until whenever the state's December 31st number is to do the assessments. Because we put that into our policy, because we were not getting the student counts early enough to actually do it. But this year, I'm
Fingers
hopeful we will.
crossed. Okay.
Okay.
So you're the 15th, you're
We're
the
the
16th,
15th.
and we're the 17th, our
Yeah.
next one?
The
Yeah.
trifecta again.
Yep, we're on the trifecta.
It's a big week.
Well, I just
But it's over.
So I just if the OVUU board has questions or concerns, we're gonna bring those back to you at that December 2nd meeting.
Okay, good.
Okay, and so if you guys have concerns with your other board members, if they look at this, we would want, we have to approve this budget on December 17th. So RNESU's budget.
See, again, I'm confused. How could we formulate district budgets if we haven't approved the central office budget?
Right, that is the central office budget.
I mean,
RNESU.
The RNESU budget, sorry.
Right, RNESU budget has to be approved December 17th.
Right.
So we will be presenting this budget that you just saw tonight to the OVUU board for their knowledge. And if they have any questions about it, then we're going to send it back to, any questions are going to go back to Brenda.
I understand that, but again, I think on our work plan, aren't we seeing a budget, the first draft of the budget on December 15th?
Yes.
Oh, that's
So
true.
how
yeah.
can we, how does that work? How do we get our budget if we haven't passed the RNESU budget? Or
I will put what we know at that time into your budget.
Okay,
Okay.
And I will tell you that.
okay,
And at that point, it might still change, but it's not gonna change like this much.
okay, got it.
This is a technical term.
Don't you guys see your first?
Unless we have.
We'll see
that
our
many
first
people
budget on
that-
December 2nd.
Or out.
We're supposed to. We're supposed to see our first budget December
So same
2nd.
situation, you see a budget before the RNESU budget's been
Sure.
approved?
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah. And then
Yeah,
it gets
so I put a
finalized in there.
placeholder in.
Yeah, that's what I
Yeah.
thought you were gonna say.
Yeah.
Okay.
And when I get closer to yours, the placeholder is closer.
Yeah, it's much
December
closer.
2nd, the placeholder's gonna be 4.81,
Right, because you don't have any more
because
information.
I don't have anything better than that.
Okay. All right, we're gonna move on then, I guess. Act 73 continued discussion. I'm sure both boards have already heard that the Act 73 redistricting task force decided not to present any maps or forward any maps to the legislature. So now the governor's mad and other people are mad, and we'll see what happens in the legislature.
Well, no, there's one more meeting tomorrow.
Well, yes, but that's only to
To
clean
look at
up
the
what they
report.
right to clean up the report before they send it on. So
They were mad.
yeah,
We're formally mad.
we're formally mad now. So
Included in the documents is a front and back sheet of the kind of the summary of the most recent meeting, November, whenever it was, I think last
10th.
week. 10th. And also kind of a definition of BOCES and educational service centers and a listing of all the different news stories that happened afterwards, as well as the link to tomorrow's meeting, which if you can, have it on in the background while you go about your day. Should be interesting.
Great.
I'm not so sure about that.
it'd be interesting.
Well, it'll be interesting to me. So,
It'll be spicy.
All
yeah.
right. RNESU policy, governance policies for action, our second reading, and to adopt is our global ends, because we did revise them as Brenda suggested for budgetary purposes, so that when we're looking at global ends and eventually when they get reported out, that we have some, you know, that it all correlates, right? Okay.
So the global statement's not in the packet.
It was last month. I think it might even be on your consent agenda. I think
It wasn't in the consent agenda. I know that because I didn't see it.
Okay.
No, my question is that the global statement, the global policy isn't written in the packet. All we have is just the list. But we should have a bigger statement above it, right?
Right, that hasn't changed.
That hasn't changed. So
Right,
we're
it's
just looking at the
the-
things that are
it's
changing.
just the,
Okay.
the list below.
All right. So we're changing, just so, because this is my first meeting, we're changing 1 point. Are we there yet? Are we talking about that now, or
Yep,
library?
nope, go ahead.
Um,
Although I would
so-
like someone to make a motion
Yeah, let's
first before we
motion.
do that. So can someone make a motion to adopt our global ends policy? For
So moved.
Thank you, Barbara and Greg. Okay. Discussion, go ahead.
So the
Debbie.
proposed language is up top. Got it. And that's replacing down below. And tell me the rationale for doing this?
So we realized that when we budget,
Uh-huh.
that it would be helpful that, and as you probably noticed as we went through this, that she verified it by
Yeah.
global end. So, and it also helps Renee when he starts to report out on global ends, that he can tie the budget into outcomes and things like that. And so that's why we renumbered everything.
That's great.
And these the global ends for the for RNESU are they're easy to align to budget items,
Yeah.
whereas the global ends for OVU and for BUU, there's a lot of different components that you would have to like map out
Right.
in order to tie them directly to the global ends. And so,
Bless
you.
when this was brought up, it made perfect sense. We were like, yeah, that makes a lot of sense. So we should do that.
Great.
And we get to capture the whole budget.
Right.
By fixing your global end numbering.
It's also easier to message to the owners this way, when you can show the alignment between
Right.
the budget and the ends. So I think that was a great idea, whoever came up with that. Anybody want to say?
It was me, but I didn't want to pat myself on the back. So,
I'll pat you on the back.
so, all right. Any other discussion about the global ends?
Is this the second reading?
It is, so this will finalize it and adopt it. Okay, all those in favor of revising our global ends for the numbering below that you see, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? Okay, global ends have passed. Thank you. So, policies for action. This is our first reading for all three, but we'll take them one at a time. The first one is policy ISLM, selection of library materials. This one is revised, and the admin memo has been turned into policy. Kevin, you weren't here to hear Hannah give a great presentation during public comment, so I'm almost willing to have her do it again. If she doesn't, would you mind, just for his benefit?
Sure, well, I also didn't get to get one.
That's true. She was online though, so.
Yeah. So just so you know, the revision of this admin memo into a policy is mandated by state law based on Act 150, which was signed into law in 2024, and adoption was actually required by July of this year, so you're a little bit late. But the language that you saw in the policy that you guys are looking at is the one recommended by the Vermont School Boards Association. It is the model policy that came out of the committee work on this law, and a lot of librarians worked really hard to pass Act 150, and it is the strongest law against book banning in the entire country. And so, yeah, it's a wonderful thing. It's a great support to have. And I think we do also have like a procedure to deal with challenges to books that we follow that includes a lot of discussion and committees working through it. So there is not an opportunity for that, but there is language mandated by the law that is in the policy.
So Kevin, I also did a kind of a mock, because when we last met in this room, we were all kind of flummoxed at the language that was in the policy itself, because the way that the policy was written was not, it's somewhat opaque. And so what I did is I just did a kind of a crosswalk between the actual statute, because I was like, there must be a reason why the language is the way that it is. So the way that it's so I took the statute for the school library material selection policy, and just it's up there. So where it was literally word for word. So on the left-hand side is the model policy from the VSBA,
right,
and on the right-hand side is the statute. So where it's highlighted, it is literally the exact same language. So this is the introduction to the policy and the introduction to the from the statute, and it just wanted to make sure that it's affirming intellectual freedom. But where I wanted to get to is really, this is where I think it was really difficult to look. It was really difficult for us to really assess what they were saying, and so that is on the left-hand side under the, because I know that we had I couldn't quite figure out what they were doing with the grammar and the outline and the Roman numerals and things like that when they used the term deselection of materials, and then following that with a comma, and then some prohibiting the removal. So there's a lot of negative language just in that one line. But if you look at the statute, which is on the right-hand side, it's a lot clearer than what the policy actually says. The other thing that I appreciate about the statute is that it mentions that it's ensuring the students' First Amendment rights are protected and that all students' identities are affirmed and dignity respected. So what the law is intending to do is to make sure that the students in the buildings are going to have access to their First Amendment rights more so than somebody coming in from the outside and saying, you need to remove these books. And if I remember correctly, your concern was more about the kind of the debate, the freedom of conversation about we need to have these conversations in our community in order for us to thrive. And so I don't want to put any more words in your mouth, but I felt like I needed to do this analysis for at least this group, so that way you can see where the information from the model policy came from and the language from the statute.
Okay, thanks.
Okay, so can I get someone to make a motion to approve the first reading of this policy?
I will agree.
Thank you, Barbara. Is there a second?
Oh, yeah, sure. I should have had no.
I know, I was like, what? Okay.
I was
All right.
thinking nobody
That's all right.
seconding this.
All right,
motion.
that's okay. And then any discussion, other discussion?
Yeah, I'm going to vote no, and give you two reasons why. One is global, I guess. I resent it when the state passes a law and then tells us we have to pass a policy dictated by the state in the words of the state. To me, that's it's just a basic undemocratic practice, and it seems North Korean that, we joyfully volunteer to do what you say we should do. If they want to dictate something, go ahead and dictate it, but don't force me to pretend that I am voluntarily supporting it. And then the other objection is, this is about deselection, and selection is a black box. I still think the community needs a say. I don't think we can run away from these debates. So for both of those reasons, I'm going to vote no.
Anyone else?
One quick question. With Renee's comparison there and what the woman mentioned that's there, is it correct that the statute mandates the language in the policy? Not just that the policy exists, but the wording has to be that. Is that accurate?
So the wording that's in the policy was taken by whoever the VSBA asked, whatever attorney or attorney firm, law firm, to write the language. And so what they did is they took the language and directly from the statute to, I guess, make it easier for people to see what they were supposed to do without trying to insert interpretation along the way. Although they need to hire a grammarian.
And so from a very simple standpoint, it's, hey, school boards, you have to have a policy and it has to say this.
You have to have a policy that implements the statute. And the easiest way to implement the statute and to have other people understand what the statute is to lift the language from the statute and put it into the policy.
Got it.
That's good.
Any other questions? Okay, all those in favor of ISLM selection of library materials, please signify by saying aye.
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 All those opposed?
Nay.
So do we go 4-1?
Well,
And Greg's going to abstain.
All right, so wait a minute. So we are a board of 6, which means we have to have 4 yeses in order for this to move forward, and we only would have, right now we have 2, 1, and 1, and even if I vote, we don't get to 4. So that means we have to wait to our next meeting for Leo and see how he feels about this. So, Renee or Brenda, can either one of you or someone else in this room tell me what happens if we do not adopt a policy and become in violation?
Well,
no,
I think one of the first things I would say is you're putting a lot of pressure on your local librarians.
Yeah.
The
Okay.
policy gives them protection. It gives them comfort in being able to have uncomfortable conversations because, as Hannah said, it doesn't stop the conversation. It just gives her a framework in which to have them. And without it, you know, I mean, I don't, people can sue for anything, right? I don't know what that would mean.
Right. No, I get it.
It could be embarrassing.
So we do have a procedure that we follow that will work for the former statute and the current statute, but there is not that level of protection of the identified categories that are automatically turned down.
These 6.
Right. Okay. All right. Well, we're gonna have to bring it back next month, and hopefully everybody will be here and we can try again.
Yeah, if I may say just before we drop it, I certainly don't want to make Hannah's life more difficult. I'm perfectly willing to have the school board's life made more difficult, though, because when people feel like they're just being told, oh, there's a rule against it, sorry, you have to go away, that doesn't make them happy. I think they have to be heard. And I also suggest maybe we should have some language about the selection of books.
Well, I think it still allows for people to have discussion about a book. I mean, it allows Hannah and any other librarian to pick whatever she feels is appropriate for for whatever kids that they're picking books for. What this does is that if I came in and told Hannah that I didn't want anyone reading DW's First Day of Preschool because I thought it, was inappropriate for preschoolers, we would have that discussion. But she still has this gives her the opportunity to say, no, we're still going to have this because it's a great book for our preschoolers to read and be excited about going to preschool.
So as part of our procedures, we do have a procedure for selection that's written into what the former administrative memo, but now it would be part of this policy, and so that is listed, available for people to see.
Okay,
I would like to also remind you that I like what you said. You didn't want to make the library's life harder, and you were fine if it was the board. We do have a conflict of interest policy that says if they don't like what Hannah says, they can go to her supervisor, and then they can go to the superintendent, and then they come to you. So in an event like this, the policy is going to say, Hannah's going to say this violates the policy, Patrick and Renee are going to say the same. It's going to quickly escalate to a board level.
Yeah, and what, according to state law, what's the board's options except to say?
That's when you hire Dina.
Yeah.
I just want to point out that this manual that Renee pulled up.
Yeah.
If you continue going down, there's a procedure for reconsideration of materials.
Yeah.
That goes into like a lot of detail. It's at the bottom. Yeah. About who's on the committee, like everybody has to read it and how the conversations go, and so it's not like I would say like, oh no, that's on the list. We would do this reconsideration procedure anytime somebody had an objection to a material. We would follow that process. There would be significant discussion about it, including board members, right? It just means that at the end of that, the reasons in the policy are not valid reasons to say we're going to remove this from the library.
Okay.
Does that make sense?
It does
It's
on the superficial
and
first
I think
hearing.
a lot of it is like the fact that the policy before it gets down to that list says that the school librarian and the school library staff are responsible for curating, selecting, and deselecting materials, right? Like that's my job.
Yep.
That's all.
Yep, I understand and I respect it. So no, I gotta change my vote, but and I'm ready to move on. But I need to read this and do more thinking about it. And you know, I'm just concerned that the debate we've had in our country for the last 15 years about these sorts of things is a tendency to squelch it, and I think that has bad effects. So anyway, I'll stop there.
Okay, well, we'll bring it back next month. That's all we can do at this point. Okay, moving on to policy IIBG, acceptable use of electronic resources on the internet. Again, this is a policy revision, and the admin memo was included for reference. Can I get someone to make a motion to approve?
I'm sorry, I was still finishing up Kevin's thoughts on
Oh,
this.
yeah, sorry, that's right.
Can you tell me where we were with governing DQS?
Oh, we haven't gotten to DQS. We're still up above in policies. There were 3 policies.
Oh, yes, you are correct. I apologize.
No, that's okay. That's all right.
IIGMI.
Yep. Okay.
So moved, Greg.
Thank you, Greg. Is there a second?
Second.
Thank you, Kevin. Discussion.
So the only thing that I would add to the discussion is just it's really an updating of our policies regarding artificial intelligence to let people know that if people are using our computers for artificial intelligence use during the school day or on our computers, that that's information that needs to be safe for our children. Hopefully it's not collecting data that it shouldn't be collecting. And then if you're using it for any purposes that are not really a good reason to be using it for, that the school district has the ability to research your use. So, but most importantly, it's about keeping our kids safe and also making sure that other external people do not have access to our servers and our technology.
Okay. Any discussion?
Yeah, laudable purposes. My question is, can we keep up? That I can tell you that just in the last semester, as if I tried to look up, say, the Interstate Highway Act, because I want to talk about that, I'm getting more and more AI. In fact, I have to reject AI to get to the more basic, factual information I'm looking for. And it seems to me that our internet masters are trying to insert more AI, whether you want it or not, into into virtually any usage of, search engine. And I know that's probably too big a question for any of us in this room to talk about, but it just seems like we're setting ourselves a task that may be impossible to fulfill in 2 years' time or less.
Well, I will weigh in as I don't know if we can keep up. So the best we can do is try to make sure that we keep as much. We keep our children safe and we keep our servers as safe as possible, and make people aware of exactly what you're saying is whenever you are interacting with things on the internet, chances are, well, we know that it's being tracked, but to what extent is that tracking now going into a large language model that's keeping, that's not just holding it as a cookie somewhere, but is also researching your search history. And so it's just a matter of, we have to stay up on that as much as possible so we can try to be somewhat proactive with people who are doing what they can to make a lot of money from it.
Okay.
Debbie?
Who worked on this policy? I mean, because it's a significant overhaul.
Alexis did.
Alexis did. And then does it get reviewed by our attorney? By Dina?
We can have Dina look it over. I don't know if the biggest things that are being added to it are the national level. They're not Vermont level policies. That's the Children Internet Protection Act, FERPA,
Yep.
and Children Online Privacy Protection. I guess there is a VSA 1.2 governing responsible use of generative AI, and so. We can have it go by Dina in the next month before the second reading, and this might be something that I guess as VSBA too, because I don't know if there is I don't know if they have anything at least in response to at least the VSA generative AI.
Is that standard practice? Do you normally get when we do a major kind of update like this, do you usually ask the attorneys to take a look at it, or we just kind of?
I don't think we have I don't think we have a large number of policies that are based on the model policies.
Okay.
This would be one.
Yeah, that's why I'm wondering. This is not based on model policies, so I was just wondering if a legal eye had taken a look at it. That's.
Well, we had it from before. So I don't, this is just a rewrite to go from the electronic resources to including the internet and AI.
Okay.
Would you feel more comfortable if Dina took a look at it?
I'm checking to see if Visbet has something. They don't.
Yeah, Visbet doesn't either. Yeah, this is kind of go to your point that things are moving so fast that not even our associations can keep up with this. I mean, I don't have a strong feeling about it. And it does cost money every time we ask the attorney to do some work for us, but.
Well, that doesn't mean that it's not good use of money, especially if this policy comes into play somewhere along the line and we need to be able to defend it.
It looks like the last time we updated this policy in any way.
That's a long time ago.
Yeah, 2012.
2012.
And that was just for the electronic resources.
That's before the internet, wasn't it?
That was actually around the time that devices came into classrooms.
Oh.
Yeah.
No wonder there's so much red.
I
mean-
I had a first, well, not Chromebook, they were called netbooks rollout. So
Right.
I kind of actually miss those little babies.
Oh yeah, they were rough.
They were like
tough,
right
too.
size.
Yeah.
I think the iPhone was 2009.
And if you guys are not feeling good about this, it's worth just having Dina take a quick look at it and making sure that it
I think
dots
so.
all the I's and crosses T's. And then we can bring that back to us again in December.
it's not that I'm not feeling good about it, it's just that I'm pessimistic about our chances. Yeah.
Okay, fair enough. But if it would help everybody else move forward.
I would like that.
Okay.
You're okay with that?
Yeah.
Greg, you're okay with that?
Want me to send it?
Yep.
All right. So we're gonna take the. Can you rescind your motion, Greg and Kevin, and we'll bring it back in December after Dina takes a look at it.
You want us to rescind the motion?
Yep, please.
Rescinded.
Rescinded.
Thank you. All right. Let's see how we do with this one. Last policy, GFRC, policy governing fingerprint-based record checks. This is a brand new policy. Can I get someone to make a motion to accept? Okay, Barbara, is there a second?
Sure, I'll do it.
Okay, Kevin. Discussion.
So these are, this is in the case of when people come in and we're reviewing them for potential of volunteerism or student interns. I think it's also in reference to visitors as well. If we end up having, as we do the background check, we get they get flagged, and it allows for us to do what we need to be able to do if they want to appeal it, or they want to continue to have access to our buildings and providing work with the students. And it's also any kind of information that we receive with the retention of those records and the storage of those records.
Okay. Discussion. Have you all read it? Okay. Okay. Well, that's why I wasn't hearing anything, but I see everybody looking at their computers. So.
Figured this out, good job.
Well, you know.
She's clever.
No, once in a while. I'll give you a couple minutes.
Basically, you can't share it, you have to keep it for 3 years, then you have to destroy it, is that what I'm saying, more or less?
Excuse me. Sorry.
I'll keep Melinda in the know too, so she'll get it on the agenda next time.
Okay.
It's also really, for some jobs in Vermont, you need educational jobs in Vermont, you got to get fingerprinted multiple times. I know for this role, I had to get fingerprinted 3 different times.
Wow.
Only 3?
Yeah.
Oh, should have gotten another
We're
one.
gonna get you in
System
preschool,
already.
you can have a 4th.
Well, I think just getting I don't know if I had to get fingerprinted again, but
Okay.
getting a job in Vermont,
Sure.
it was, I think there was for the licensing agency, for the school district, and for VSA, something like that. It was 3 different, there's a lot of fingerprinting going on.
There is, yeah.
It's a small, industry, I guess.
Well, and you can't even go to Brandon anymore and get fingerprinted. You have to go to Rutland. Around here.
So I have it's not hypothetical. When I went to the wrong building and I was walking past the musical on my way out, one of the kids stopped me and said that he was interested in, he was doing some kind of internship. I guess he's a senior, and he was interested in doing a historical internship, and would I be interested in coming up with something for him? If I say yes, does that mean I'm going to get fingerprinted?
If you're coming into the schools, probably.
And you're working without supervision with them.
Okay. how is this a change from, sorry, I'm way behind, I haven't read
It's
it.
not a change, it's a brand new policy.
But people required to be fingerprinted when they were working with students or along with students in the past, haven't they?
Yeah, but that's based on,
Statute.
that's on statute, not policy here. So this is a policy just within RNESU, but fingerprinting is required by child care statute and other statutes. Teacher licensing probably.
Yeah.
And this is basically a policy governing how we handle that information once it's collected, once it's been
Right,
collected.
once it's been collected. So it's not necessarily about being fingerprinted, it's about what we do with the information once we receive it.
Okay, with this chaperone, so if you go on a 6th grade field trip with some other parents, you're required to be fingerprinted into this?
Yep,
We've been
I've
doing
been
that for years.
fingerprinted, yep.
How long does it stay in the system? I mean, does it just stay in the system? So if you've had it done, you're
No, I don't think it lasts, I think it's got like 3 years.
I don't think we make you have it redone. If you,
Okay.
if you were a volunteer in kindergarten, 1st grade, and 2nd grade, it would just keep going. Then you didn't do anything until 5th grade, then you'd probably, if there was like sort of a break.
Okay.
Excuse me.
I just have no idea what, status is, because I've been in and out of.
What about larger fingerprint database? I mean, this doesn't work obviously, right, unless it's hooked into, for instance, Superintendent Sanchez is a Texan originally. If he had some bad criminal record from Texas when he was 19 years old, we wouldn't know about it unless there was a way to feed into a national database to check all of those things. Does that mean once you're fingerprinted, you're in that database forever, and that people in California can look up your life?
I suppose it all depends on, like, if you get fingerprinted in Rutland, what they upload that to. If they upload that to any.
Yeah, it lists the FBI crime and the
Okay.
Vermont crime. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, so that's
if it's-
everything.
Yeah, so if
Yeah.
it's a serious thing, it's gonna go on the FBI.
NCIS is coming after you.
Well, this is, I'm not too worried about that, but
Okay.
it's kind of a civil rights issue. Let's say you attend some protests.
So
Well,
one of my good friends who was we met through education. He participated in some civil disobedience at the University of Texas in the 1980s, got arrested. He was part of I think it was called the Texas 12 or Texas 13. And every time, because he was flagged for those demonstrations, every job he goes to since then, he's got to be able to sit down and explain why he has this denotation on his record when he gets fingerprinted.
When I was a senior in high school, I sold a yearbook ad to the Communist Party to win a bet. It didn't get in the yearbook. The principal called me in the office and said, "This isn't going to happen." And that was that. And I went home and said to my father, this freedom of speech, but shut up. But that has not followed me in life. To my knowledge, I've never applied to be in some kind of 3-letter agency or anything, but I'm reluctant to participate in a system where, I'm very torn about this because we obviously have to protect children, and the immediate issue of predators is so compelling. But boy, I wish there were a way to purge yourself from the system once you've made these volunteer efforts and been checked.
This isn't about though whether or not we are going to fingerprint, right?
This is just about right.
And what we do with the information, and we agree not to share it, spread it around, and we have to destroy it after 3 years.
Right.
That's what I'm seeing.
Yeah.
So
this is only about what happens with the information that we collect. It's not about the actual fingerprinting or being in a database or anything like that. But we are required by statute, if you want to be alone with kids, you have to be fingerprinted.
Okay.
Okay. Any other discussion? Okay, so all of those that approve GFRC policy governing fingerprint-based record checks.
Before we vote, can we get, maybe send this back to Dina for the question I just raised?
Okay.
Okay.
Sure.
Because I don't want to vote no and be opposed to checking on, whether perverts are allowed to be with kids.
So
but-
what was the question you just raised? Because I was writing my
He just
first
wants
email.
Dina. He just wants Dina to look at it and make sure.
About whether the information can get purged at any point once it's in a system like this.
Yeah. GFRC policy. All right, so we're going to move on while you're writing your email. District Quality Standards DQS. In the packet was the board summary. 4 people filled out the survey, and so I believe you have everything you need in order to fill out.
all 3.
Okay, perfect. So that's going to be sent off to the AOE for
Are you
their
just
first
going
check on
with
us.
the majority?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yep. Okay. So this is something new that I asked Melinda to add to the agendas. I think that since we do an RNESU update at our regular board meetings, that at this meeting the BUU and OVUU boards should update RNESU as to what we're doing. So who wants to go first, BUU or OVUU? We just had a meeting last night, Barbara. It's okay. There's not much to report.
There was a lot that was done at that meeting.
I know. That's true. We did.
I was in a car, I was at rock climbing, and I was in prison.
Well, we'll be nice and
I
we'll
know
let
where I was.
BUU go first. If you want.
What kind of information are you looking for?
So mainly anything that, something that's out of the ordinary, any kind of anything that's new or out of the ordinary. If you're trying a different curriculum, I mean, we're all trying the same curriculum, but,
Right.
if you were trying a different way to reach out to your people, or if you're deciding that you're going to, give up choice. I know that's not happening, but, things like that. Things that maybe we should know just so that,
Sure.
Greg,
do you want to share what happened on Monday? Seems a long time ago to me now.
So, I think that maybe the first thing, Debbie, would be, the BUU had some goals related to evaluating, the ongoing or continuation of middle school. And we were not making any decisions about it, but it had been part of discussions, and it was a component of a couple of our board goals. And there was a number of, let's call it, misunderstandings or belief that we were further along in a discussion. And so we're, working on restating those goals and trying to assure the public that we are not taking action on middle school. We're just evaluating information to allow us to bring those thoughts forward to the public.
Okay. Great.
Thank you, Greg. And also I'll add that we have a new board member. So Justine Kavakis is from Chittenden. She's our new Chittenden rep. Replaces Ethan, who you all know, our dear Ethan. But given that she just is brand new, I didn't feel it was fair to ask her to step up to the RNESU board, so that's why I'm here.
Yeah.
But yep, we're excited to have her. So we have 5 staff, or 5 board members.
Tell me again what her name was.
It's Justine Kavakis, Cavacas. Vacas. Yep.
Okay. Thank you for that. On the Otter Valley side, last night we met, as you may or may not know, we were talking about moving Whiting and Lester, and we were talking about moving the Whiting K through 6 kids to Neshabie.
Right.
And pulling the preschool, gosh, can't get out of my mouth. Preschool kids out of Neshabie and Whiting, putting them into Lester, and then giving Whiting back its building. That mostly is off the table now. Although we are talking about moving forward with our middle school model and adding on to Otter Valley to have a true middle school.
Okay. Great.
So, anything else?
That seemed like
That seems like
Need of it, yeah.
those are the big
We
two
found out
big
that
ones.
porcupines like,
Oh yeah, we found
Treated
Right.
wood,
Treated wood.
treated wood.
Yeah,
Oh, porcupines like to eat treated wood?
yeah.
Who knew?
that was from the Hawk Hill update.
That's right. I had a question. Well, I'll ask you after.
Did you guys have a report on your on your transferable skills?
No.
No. So that's another interesting thing that happened Monday, was we had our first global ends report on the part of our ends policy that talks about transferable skills. And so that was really good. The district showed us the proxy measurements for how we're going to measure transferable skills. So we didn't actually get the data, but we got the how it's going to be measured, and then we'll hopefully have the data by June.
Nice.
Yep. And it'll be like a baseline, so then moving forward, we'll be able to actually
See if you're moving forward.
see if
with it.
we're,
And hopefully by the January meeting, we'll be able to give, as part of the superintendent's informational report, kind of an update on what happened with the graduation requirements.
right.
And are the transferable skills going to be embedded, or the transferable skills going to be separate? So we're hoping to, and if they are, however they are going to continue, we need to, whether it's us as a district, which I would not be a fan of,
No.
but we really have to backwards map it from graduation to K.
Okay. Nice.
There was a presentation you were going to share with us. Remember, it was linked on the slide, but it wasn't in our board packet.
Oh, I'll have
Could
to-
you share it with everybody? I think they'd all be interested in seeing this presentation from the AOE about the graduation requirements.
Oh,
They presented to the State Board of Education today.
Oh,
so-
they did. That's right. Okay.
nice.
So I'll get their most recent, I'll get that presentation out.
That'd be helpful. Yeah.
Anything else on that topic?
That was a good topic to add to the agenda. I think it's worth spending a few minutes on.
Okay.
It's hot tonight.
I know, right? Who knew? Superintendent's report, Whiting Pre-K program update.
Let's see. So first from the report, just a couple things. So one, if you take a chance, if you have a chance to look at the education survey findings from the 4,000 Vermonters who filled out the survey on the Commission for Future Public Education. The second thing is that this past week, on Monday, we attended an AOE, Brian and I and Joel attended a Agency of Education Chronic Absenteeism Summit at Killington. And it was really trying to shine a light on the large numbers of students who are not attending school, or who are not attending school more than 10% of the time. And kind of looking at the root causes and kind of prefacing a statute that is likely going to be recommended to the legislature to pass, as well as practices and policies and other things. And then on Tuesday, we held a regional chronic absenteeism at Brandon Town Hall. And representatives from White River Junction and Greater Rutland joined some local people here who attended. And one of the great things that came out about it, because Rutland Mental Health came as well, is that I think we're going to try to create a Rutland County task force on chronic absenteeism, because the school district can't do it alone. Rutland Mental Health can't do it alone. And so we'd like to be able to find a way to best serve our students from Rutland County and determine what's taking place within the schools, what's taking place at home, and how can all the services that our students have access to support them so that they want to stay in school. And so, and Whiting Pre-K update. So we have been really fortunate that as of last Wednesday, was it last Wednesday or last Thursday? So we had a patchwork of administrators and others serve as the teacher of record at Whiting until last Wednesday, when we were able to move. When we were able to move somebody who was who was substituting in our district for another teacher who was out on leave, but she has all the credentials that she needs to step into the role day one and be appreciated by the AOE and DCF. And so we also have a line on a potential teacher, a full-time teacher, but I need to have a conversation with the superintendent, and there are a lot of things have to happen in order for that teacher to come in. But right now, the Whiting pre-K situation is in a much better place than it was the last time that we spoke.
Great.
Debbie or Brenda, is anything else you want to add to that?
I would just add that Brenda talks about, like, we don't have unicorns in the basement. Well, we actually found unicorns.
It wasn't our it wasn't our basement,
That's right.
but it was a basement.
But yeah.
Very
Although
nice.
we could take a tour of the basement after this thing.
No
We
thanks.
have ghosts. We have ghosts.
And snakes.
And snakes.
Snakes.
You
Yep.
do not.
They do too downstairs.
Yes, we
Yep. It comes in through
Do
them.
it.
Yep. I know, right? So, all right. So our next meeting is set
Wait,
for.
I have a question. Is there
No,
any-
not about snakes.
No, it's
Okay.
about absenteeism. Is there any comparative data for the state? Where, for instance, would Burlington have higher rates than more rural districts? Do we have any knowledge about what circumstances of kids or comparative in different areas or anything like that?
So they didn't share any of that. They shared kind of nationwide and Vermont level data. So they didn't do it by district. But what we're seeing is that the percentage of students who are enrolled in the school who are chronic absentee is going up each year. And so we can provide. I think we actually provided that data at the beginning of the year. That we're around like 35% for last school year, and the year before that it was in the 40s.
Yeah.
And so
And
we're
monitoring it monthly now. So principals, we just ran one, another one's will be run on December 1st. Principals are now getting a report. We designed it over the summer where they can not only see their chronic absenteeism like right away, they can also sort of look at all of the different subgroups to see sort of are these students on IEPs, are these our overall historically marginalized students, you know, they can easily see that with just a bit of sorting of information. And actually our data manager is getting ready to, he's looking at making it even simpler for our principals to look at every single month.
What about a category such as seniors who are goofing off because they're gliding to the
You
end?
could get their grades probably.
We actually can't because it's by grade level. There isn't a column that says goofing off, but by grade level.
that's a different student group. But but no, one of the other important pieces that we're doing is not just looking at chronic absenteeism as in its own accord, but we're also looking at student data based on that. So we're breaking it out. If a student is chronic absent, not chronically absent. So comparing that data and being able to share it with the principals so that they can share that with their faculties as well, and then also they can have those conversations with the families.
Okay, and the last question, that's an astoundingly high number to me. What's the definition of chronic absenteeism?
If you miss 10% or more of the school year. So we're treating it right now that if you're on track for 10% or more, or you've already met it, those are the students that we are categorizing as chronically absent. So 10% or more, so
35%.
That's what I thought.
So that was last year's.
Right, so we'll start to see trends after some time, but in the very beginning of the school year, in order to be considered chronically absent, one of our administrators sort of brought up that their child was out they were out because they were sick for a few days. And for a little bit of time, they would have been considered chronically absent. They're not typically chronically absent. So as the year goes on, we'll actually really be identifying which students genuinely fall into that.
What's 10% of the school year? Is that 36 days?
18 days.
5 and 6.
18 days? Okay.
Right, but right now, we're looking at students with 5 days.
Oh, yeah, no, but I wanted to know how many was 10% of the whole school year, so 18, okay, fair
So one of
enough.
the other things that we can very easily do now, especially now that we have both boards sitting here, so we can look at chronic absenteeism, and the reports that we're running are also connected to the student growth percentile, as well as VTCAP outcomes and our STAR scale scores that predict the outcomes in the spring for our VTCAP. So you can look at that really quickly, pull up to see where the correlation is, and those are great talking points with families as well.
Great.
So.
Cool.
Thank you.
Anything else? Okay, so our agenda is wrong. It says our next meeting is December 17th, which is true, but it says that it's at 5 o'clock at Otter Valley, and it's 5:30 and it's here.
Okay, we all have to remind, we have to put a note.
I'll remind Melinda, but yeah.
Well, you guys all posted to each
It's
other.
17 here,
Kevin and I did.
5:30. Yeah.
Kevin was late to the game.
I've got the theme song from Annie running through my head now.
All right.
Real earworm.
I would accept a motion to adjourn. Barbara and Debbie, all of those that want to leave, just leave. Okay. Thank you.
What's this?